Yes, I'm wearing my fur coat indoors and my sunglasses. No, I will not be taking it off. It's a look. Okay. So you find yourself in this position of, should I stay in my relationship or should I go? So, of course, there's a lot of factors to consider. Relationships aren't one-dimensional. You have to take into account multiple different things. And coming from someone who has been in your shoes, I understand that if the only thing holding you back from leaving your relationship are these things, then it's time to maybe reconsider if it's really worth staying. The first thing is this idea of investment. So there's an idea called sunk cost fallacy. This is a financial term, but it can be applied to relationships as well. And it's basically saying that because you spend so much time, you put so many resources into something, so in this case the relationship, you obviously are attached to it and you don't want to give it up, because it's like, what was all that for, right? It seems like a waste. It seems like, I already put so much time into this, why would I leave now? And this is something that's very common and stops a lot of people from leaving relationships that are otherwise very toxic. For example, right, if you're in a relationship and you're like, all these things are going wrong, I don't feel happy, but we've already spent 2 years together. 2 years, that's a long time. I'm not discrediting that. It's hard nowadays, to be in modern relationships for that long. The important thing to remember is that, yes, you might have spent 1, 2, 3 years with this person, right? But ending it now is so much better than staying with them your whole life, married, having kids, buying a house together, anything, and then, leaving anyways. And because then it's much more difficult. So if you're still young, you don't have so many things tying you down, then please, don't worry about leaving because you spent a few years together. 2 years turns into 5 years, and that turns into 10 years and 20 and 30 years, and it's just gonna get worse. So think about it as right now is it's the longest you've been with them, but it's also the shortest you'll ever be with them. It's only gonna get more difficult to let go as time progresses. Don't stay with someone because you feel like you have something to prove to yourself or to others about, trying to make it work. Because yes, it's impressive to stay in a long-term relationship in this day and age, but no one ultimately cares. And you can be really miserable with someone you've been with for a decade, and you can be super happy with someone you met just 1 month ago if they're your person. Especially if it's your first relationship, that too, you still don't have anything to compare to, and that's scary. You don't have anything else, you don't know anything else. You might have had a lot of firsts together. It's sentimental, and it would be cute to, maybe tell people, oh, we're still together, with my high school sweetheart, my middle school, elementary school sweetheart. But you can meet someone at 58 years old, and that might be someone that really genuinely makes you happy. Yeah, you weren't together when you were in college, but that won't matter when you meet that person. You're not a failure. You didn't lose if you decided to end something, even if you spent a really long time with them. Not everyone is meant to be in your life forever. Some people are just meant to come in, teach you a lesson, and move on. You might have met at a time when you thought you were similar, or you had similar goals and visions for the future, but that changes and people grow apart. People end up, especially if you meet them when you're really young, people decide to have different, visions for how they want their life to go. And sometimes we start like this, but then we end up going different ways, and that's okay. It doesn't make you the bad person or the good person. It doesn't make them the bad person or the good person. You're just different, and you deserve to have someone that will align with you, and so do they. Going off of investment also is when you're with someone for a long time, you likely have met their family and their friends might have become your friends, their family you're now a part of, and it can be hard to let go of that, especially when you might be having problems with the person, but you have nothing but love for their family, because you don't just lose them, you lose that entire circle. Unless there's certain times when you still stay in contact with people from their side, with friends that might be a little bit more possible. Sometimes some mutual friends will still keep up with both of you, keep in contact with you, but with family, ultimately you have to remember that no matter how much they loved you, they are, at the end of the day, that person's support system, so they will always defend that person, pretty much, in most cases. They will have their back, but you have your own support system. That's the beauty of it. Lots of couples live together, lots of couples like spend a lot of time at each other's houses, and you just get used to seeing their family and just being a part of their traditions. You know, you can't imagine ever spending holidays without them, but trust me, you survive and you end up rewriting your story and finding new ways to celebrate holidays, finding new people to celebrate them with. Really, at the end of the day, you're not dating the family, you're dating the person. Just because you're gonna miss their family, or not even miss, maybe you aren't that close with them, but you just like are scared to have them know you guys are having problems, and that, like, you know, them perceiving that you're breaking up, especially if you're the one breaking up with the person, like you don't want them hating you, and that might be a difficult decision, especially when you might have to like take your stuff back and see them one last time, say goodbye to them. That might be hard, but that doesn't mean that if you're unhappy, like you should be staying just for that. That's just one little step. Like, it's gonna be difficult, but in order to get to your new life and get to what you really want, you are gonna have to make some tough choices, and it's not gonna be easy. That's why it's a breakup. Ultimately, they just want the best, right, for their child and for you too, so be hard on them too, right? They'll be also losing a family member, but at the end of the day, they're thinking about their own life too, and like they just want everyone to just be happy. You're not disappointing them, you're not disappointing yourself. You're disappointing yourself if you are staying in something that doesn't feel authentic to you. Another thing is, if you find yourself staying with them just because they're your only sense of support, whether it's emotional, mental, financial. I can't speak on everyone's situation. I know sometimes people like would literally be, you know, homeless or like broke, for lack of a better word, if they leave someone, and that's a very tricky situation to be in. Obviously, it's better to like not find yourself in that situation in the first place where you're dependent on them like that, but easier said than done. But like if it's just something like they're your only friend, or like you've just cut off all your other friends because you spent so much time with them, which is very common when you're in a relationship, you can always find other senses of support. You should be having your own life outside of them too anyways. And that's why it's so important, you know, to have your own life. You need to have your own hobbies, your own friends, spend time with your family if you can do that, because at the end of the day, you know, if you do end up breaking up with them, you're not alone. You have your sense of support. The fear of being alone is a big one, because nowadays society really perpetuates this idea of if you're not in a relationship, like life isn't complete. And that's something I was guilty of feeling too at times, because we really as women are conditioned to center romantic relationships in general because of all the fantasy, all the princess movies and books that we consume when we're young. And it's not really our fault. This stuff is fed to us from a young age. And even with family, you know, if your family's anything like mine, like whenever you're single, they're always asking like, oh, when are you gonna have that special someone? When are you gonna have, you haven't found a boyfriend yet? Like things like that, as if that's the thing that's needed, because otherwise you're not complete, which is so dumb, but it's how our world works. It's a very rational fear because you've spent every moment with this person. You've spent like every day talking to them, saying good morning, good night. Like, it's nice to have someone to text any random stupid thing in my day, like, to them. You know, other people in your life, they might care, but not to that extent. And when that's gone, it's like a big hole, a big void in your life now. And that could be difficult to have to adjust to, but it will get better. And you were fine before them. You somehow lived X number of years single, and you'll be fine after them as well. It might feel like the end of the world to not have that anymore, but it's really not. A lot of the time we just romanticize the idea of a relationship, and you can get that with any other person. Anyone can, if you're staying with them because, you know, you are gonna miss cuddling and kissing and hugging someone and like going on dates with someone, anyone can give you that like physically has hands and like a mouth and like things, you know, like anyone could give you that, but not everyone can give you the unconditional love and the friendship that you need in a partner too. Is very important, right, for your partner to be your best friend. Also, don't stay with a person because you think that they might change. Like, okay, there's times when certain change might happen. If you like had one fight or they did something that they didn't know made you upset and you spoke about it, right, communication is key, that's different. But like if something is happening time and time again and it's just not changing and you just have this idea of them, really ask yourself if you are staying with them because you love them as they are right now. Like if they were the way they were right now for the rest of their life, would you be content with that? Or are you thinking, oh, like, well, if they just change maybe this, and this, then maybe, everything will be fine. Like, I can live with that. Like, no, you do not deserve, I can live with that, I can tolerate that. You deserve, like, oh my god, I love this. If they change nothing about themselves right now, I still love them the way they are. That's another very important thing. Really admire them for the person that they are. By the way, everything I'm saying goes the other way too. Make sure that they're admiring you for the way you are and respecting you. Respect is a big one. Really for the person that you are. Like, even if you weren't with them, just as a person, like, you really, like, love how they are, how they think, how they, go about their day, their, like, morals that they carry. If you are deep down, like, kind of repulsed by the idea of, things that they believe in and things that they want for themselves, why are you with them, Is it just to have a boyfriend or a girlfriend? There's so many people in this world, like, to be single and alone, even though it might be sad on Valentine's Day, or, like, you might not have someone to, like, I don't know, cuddle with you at night, but that's temporary. It's better to be single than to feel lonely in a relationship. It's not serving you. And of course, the longer you stay with a person, right, if you're staying with them for a long time, and again, started when you were really young, you will naturally change together too. Like, you'll be growing up, you'll be maturing, but that kind of just comes with the process. Don't be using that as fuel to stay with them, the idea of what they could be. You should be both making each other better people, but in the ways that you guys want. So, like, if you, for example, want to, like, achieve something, they should be supporting you in that. They shouldn't be trying to make you into an idea of what they want, if that makes sense. It goes back to the idea of just them appreciating you as a person, really loving what you stand for, and helping you grow the way you want to grow, not the way that they think you should grow, that they think an ideal partner should be, and vice versa. Because there will be someone that will appreciate you for exactly how you are right now. Again, no one's perfect. Like, we are all growing. We shouldn't be stagnant and staying still and always being the same, from when we're 17 to when we're 27 and 37. Like, we're always changing, but some things in a person don't change. Ultimately, you have usually the same morals your whole life and values. Don't stay for the idea of the potential. And don't stay in relationships out of fear. It's also tricky because, again, when you spend a lot of time with someone, your partner becomes your best friend in a way. It'd be weird if they didn't. And by best friend, I mean spending a lot of time together, doing things together. But it really does help. Research has shown when you start as friends, or just could totally just be friends with a person, take away all the relationship, romantic stuff and sexual stuff. Really just would love to be friends with them. If you're in a relationship with someone that you could not see yourself being friends with otherwise, like if you take away all the passion and stuff, that's not someone that you're going to love to be around in the long run, again, because you're going to, like, hold on to this sense that maybe if they just start doing more of the things I like, or, like, being more like me, or being more like this ideal person, then, we'd be happy. Like, and that's not how it should be. Imagine if you were in, like, a friend group with this person, if they're that person that you, like, in the friend group, like, would feel the most awkward around if you two were, like, left alone, because you, like, don't have much in common, like, while your other friends, like, go somewhere, that's probably a good sign that you should not be in a relationship with them, unless you're just there for the fling. Like, if a long-term relationship, you're gonna spend every day of your life with this person, and you're gonna have kids with them if that's what you want, and just live together till you're old. So is that really someone you want to spend your time with? If your partner would constantly rather be with their friends than you, it's good to obviously have, again, your own life, your own support, as I said, but, like, if you see that you're so different from their friends, that's probably another sign. Like, there's a reason for that. They just gravitate towards other people, and that's okay, and you gravitate towards other people probably too. You should, in a way, be similar to their friends, because you should be their number one best friend. If they're doing toxic and abusive things to you, they might have changed. Like, you might have told them not to do things anymore, and they have, but they're kind of, like, still thinking those things are okay to say or do. It's like, yes, they changed, and now they're holding those things in to not anger you or whatever, but why would you want to be with someone that thinks those things are okay to do and say in the first place? Take a look at what this person is like, and, like, what would you be okay giving up, living without? If, like, for example, you're really drawn to a certain, like, city and they don't want to live there, would you be okay not living there? Like, is everything else in your relationship worth it? Or would you not? At the end of the day, like, it really does come down to just, like, you're the reason that these things keep happening to you. You're allowing yourself to stay. Either accept them as they are, and if the way they are is not the way you'd want a partner to be, then leave. Don't be complaining, don't be trying to change them and then wondering why they're not wanting to change. You know, a person should want to change on their own. Sometimes partners will change certain things for their partners, but that shouldn't be like the majority of the things. It could be like, oh, let's watch this movie because you like it. Let's go to this restaurant, but not like your core value or your personality. Like if things just keep giving you the ick about them and people around you are saying like you don't seem like your best self, you know, because that's another thing, your partner should make you more you, not less you, then it's not worth it. Don't confuse familiarity with love or attachment with love. Attachment and love is not the same thing. You might love the person, but do you like them? They might say they love you, but do they really like you? Do they respect you for how you are? Or are they also staying because the idea of a relationship is great and like being alone sucks? And if you see that they are also not fully content with you and just the relationship, even if they're trying to hide it, you see that they would rather be with someone else, somewhere else, when you spend time together, let them go, set them free. As they say, if you love someone, set them free. You might have had so much fun with them in your relationship, and you might feel like you'll never have that again. But if you're with someone that isn't fully meant for you and you had so much fun with them, imagine how much more fun you'll have with someone that is meant for you. There's also fears that he'll change in the sense of when you break up, then he'll start being everything you wanted them to be and maybe give what you've always wanted them to give you to the next person. And to that I say, that might happen, they might do all those things, but that's because for that new person, they feel like they're worth giving those things to, they feel like they're worth changing for. If that new person is more aligned with how they are, you know, their interests, hobbies, just view of the world, then naturally they might want to be more romantic with them, or, you know, they'll just be more present in everything that they do together, and that's okay, you know, they deserve that, and you deserve that too with someone. You might be like, why couldn't they have just been like that for me? That's all I wanted. Like, now they're like that with someone else. Yes, but if they weren't willing to be like that with you, were they really meant for you in the first place? No. Just like someone else, another guy might not have given his ex-girl something that she wanted, but he would give it to you. Or this partner might not give that to another person either, and then it's like, okay, all the more reason to, you know, not put up with it. It's easy to make decisions on a whim, and like when we're very heated and angry, especially for women, right, when we're in that time of the month, it sometimes is actually easier to kind of be like, am I in this relationship for the right reasons? Like, I think this isn't working, like maybe we should break up. Sometimes these reasons are like actually not reasons to break up at all. Maybe you guys are just having a little, you know, bad day. That doesn't equal a bad relationship. Notice when you're feeling these things. If you're always feeling them, maybe like track your cycle and see like if you always have these thoughts around the same time of the month. Usually that's your luteal phase, even during your period, and that might give you a little sense of like, well, you're more emotional during this time, right? We're like physically, biologically, we're trying to shed everything, and that might be your body's way of like trying to get rid of certain things. But again, you really have to evaluate all these other things in your relationship to see if, you know, that's actually justifiable, or you just need some space and it's not that deep. Pay attention, because if you're making this decision when you're super calm and clear-minded and you just kind of have a gut feeling that things aren't right and you're not even super emotional that time, this used to usually always happen to me during the luteal phase, and then one day I was very clear-minded and just kind of had those feelings, and I like checked the calendar. It just so happened that it was like ovulation, which is like when you should be most attracted to your partner and just most like happy and bubbly and social. Usually the romantic feelings override any problems that you're having. So when I thought about that, I was like, wow, like I'm not even that emotional or like mad or sad. Like there comes a time when you might just like see the person and be like, I don't even blame you for being this way. We're just not meant for each other, and that's okay. That's like that intuition, when you know it's not anxiety, it's intuition. And let me know if you guys want a video explaining that more in depth, like how to tell the difference. I'm still myself learning to really tell the difference between that as an anxious girly, but when you really have a clear idea and it's not really like accompanied by like anxious feelings, it's more just out of this like deep knowing. That's more intuition. You need to cut yourself some slack, especially if you've been in a relationship that's abusive and toxic, maybe with a narcissist, because that's even more difficult than just breaking up with someone that you feel like you've grown apart from, because you didn't know that, you know, these things that they were doing was manipulation and gaslighting, and that you weren't crazy this whole time, like you actually were justified in feeling what you felt. You didn't know that, so forgive yourself for allowing that treatment. Forgive yourself for taking them back. Forgive yourself for chasing their affection and approval when really they didn't really care that much about you. Forgive yourself for trying to make it work so hard and wasting sleepless nights on them. Forgive yourself for all of that because you were just figuring things out, as were they. You are not this happy and joyful and full of love to settle for something like this because you're scared to be single for a few months, to not have a date, a +1 to Thanksgiving dinner, or because you can't imagine not having a good morning text from them. That is not what you did all this inner work for. That is not what God, if you believe in him, or the universe intended you to be on this planet for. There's lots of things that we can't control in this life. You can't control someone else's reactions or what they do, but you can control yourself. You can control what you just allow into your life. This person might have made you feel undervalued, unappreciated, gaslit, abused, and that could have been the narrative for a very long time. And you might have just gotten so used to that and almost like addicted to the feeling of it. They might have made you feel all these different things, and that's horrible. But now it's up to you to decide if you want to keep feeling these things. Because you can decide today that you'll never let anyone make you feel this way again. That's all for this video, guys. It's been pretty long, so I might make more because I definitely still have a lot more advice to share. Let me know if you guys want to see anything in particular in the comments below. Give this video a like and subscribe for more content. Thank you.